Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Tyler's Coffee Talks. I've got a really special guest here. His name's Moss, and that's Spanish for more, and he does give out so much more. And I'll tell you, the really interesting thing is I met him at an event the other day, and I was as skeptical as all you guys are. I think there is so many people out there in this world that don't really have the skill sets or the belief or the ability to do what they say. And those people are called fraud in my book. And I'll tell you, this is one person that is not a fraud or a showman. He was 100% real, true, honest, sincere, amazing individual. And I wouldn't have you on the show if it was the other way around. So I want you to first give the listeners a little bit of background of what you've done in the sense of the metaphysical world. And I know that we're kind of our viewers and our show usually gets onto the track of business and entrepreneurialism and how to build businesses but you know what, we're going to take a break from that because I think you really gave me a lot to think about when we met, and you said, you know, the metaphysical world has a lot to do with business. So tell the folks what you do.
Absolutely. I change people's lives. I change people's lives dramatically.
You do.
Not unlike a Tony Robbins or Joe Dispenza or anything like that. I literally rewire your genetic makeup so you are a totally different person.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty out there, doesn't it?
No, it sounds great though.
I thought I'd just start out with
I
that just to
love
blow
it.
everybody's mind.
I love it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's really cool, and well, I'll tell you the stuff that's happened just to blow people's mind, and then the science behind it. Because, Tyler, you're going, well, it's metaphysics and it's woo woo and it's like some
Right.
people might call it spiritual, but it's
Right.
actually straight out science.
It
I mean,
is.
it literally is, guys. It's straight out science. It's more logical than the world we live in today, because the world we live in today just doesn't make sense. There's so many holes in the logic that people run,
So
no matter
much.
what it is, no matter what belief system, and I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about business, guys. Straight out business. There's so many holes in the process of getting successful that it doesn't work for a lot of people. In fact, I work with a lot of billionaires, a lot of millionaires, multimillionaires that are going, "Hey, Moss, you know what? I'm really successful, but I'm fucking not happy. I'm just not happy. What gives, right? I've got 35, 40,000 employees, the biggest company of its kind, and they come up to me. So it's like, why are billionaires coming up to me for advice on success?
Sure, sure.
I'm talking about real success here, all around success, spherical success.
Yeah, no, the one thing that's really interesting is people think that when you make a lot of money that you are happy. And I absolutely 100% agree with that. But the thing is you can buy, I tell people this, you can buy every single thing in the world except for love. And when you don't have someone that loves you, and I mean unconditionally loves you and
Mhm.
cherishes you and actually does take care of you, and I had it and then I lost it,
Yep.
and I don't know if I'm ever going to have it again. But
Okay.
when you are in that world, when you are in that environment where you actually have all the money,
Hmm.
cannot buy love. It can buy happiness. I mean, it
It
sure
can
as
buy
hell can buy
happiness.
happiness, but it can't buy love. Love is so true and pure and the most sincere
Right.
and honest emotion. And that's one thing that I really, and I think a lot of business owners have fallen, is even our significant other, you know,
Mhm.
over time, the love just starts fading away. And so it's kind of a sad but true situation. And I've talked to, just like yourself, I've talked to multi millionaires, and yeah, they got everything in the world, but they don't have someone that truly loves them.
Absolutely. And what you're really seeking is, yes, true love, but how do you connect to that true love, right? It's literally about finding your inner connection.
Yeah.
And let me just give you the science, and then I'll give you the history on, say, how I developed what I do for hundreds of thousands of people. So, so what you're talking about, Tyler, the science behind it. And by the way, for those who've known Tyler for a long time, comment in after my session with him. And I just saw you briefly. The first time I saw you was at that event, Tyler.
Yeah.
And from that session to this session, you're a total different person. You're just like more calm, more settled in yourself. Even David was telling me, is like, damn, I don't know what you did to Tyler, but he's like totally changed. And that's a lot coming from, David Fagan.
It
So,
is. It is.
yeah, so comment in, guys, on how, how you see Tyler, even on this podcast. But and this is the problem. Okay, this is the logistics. It's all about time and space in the matrix. Now this gets way out there, like more out there than the latest Matrix movie that's coming out, because it is all about the matrix and time and space.
Sure.
So so for you, and let me explain success for people in business. You're in point A, you want to reach point B or D or whatever it is, whatever success. So you're here, success is out there for you, right? So here, I'll put that in camera. So you're here, success is out here for you. That separation, that longing, okay, is what we call, goal setting or motivation.
Right.
So what you do though is like you're supposed to be in time and space. That's where you're here. Success, if success is over here, people go from point A to point, say, D. When they go to point D, they might have the success or they might achieve that goal, but then if you listen to and you read people's biographies, or like with me, I read a lot of people come to me who are really successful, and they go, Moss, you know what, I got what I wanted, but I'm not connected, I'm not feeling the love. Why is that? Because you lost yourself. You're supposed to stay in point A, and expand into point D or whatever that you want. Most people, again, they lose their identity from going from point A to point D in this scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're saying is it's not linear. It's more
An
cohesive.
expansive.
Yeah.
It's an
Expansive.
inner expansion.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about that, guys, if you're in business, like I'm sure all your clients are, Tyler, is that you're not just getting access to point D in this scenario or any other point. You're spherically expanding yourself. So you're not a linear direction. So you don't lose your identity in space and time, because the present moment is the only moment that you have to create. As you expand, right? Say 10 feet out all the way around. Look at all the other possibilities that are within your reach, even possibilities that are even better than what you've set out to do, what your goal is. Think of it that way. Because,
Right.
you just have an objective. Hey, I want this, but you don't know all the other possibilities around that could even be better than what you're seeking. So when you expand, again, that inner expansion, by the way, I have a book coming out called Your Inner Expansion. When you expand like that, possibilities are amazing. Plus, you get to define who you are. Most people in business, especially successful business, they lose who they are. So they want to create more. They want to control more, like Jeff Bezos, for example. Look at him. Super cool guy, but now he's almost like a tyrant in his business, in his company.
Yeah.
That's why that happens. They want more. They want more. It's not good enough. Look at Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, right? They become tyrants. First, they're mavericks. Why do they become tyrants? This is the reason why, because the more success they have, success becomes a magnifier. The more you lose your identity, because again, most of the time, people do success wrong.
Well, I think people see success as a dollar amount, and it has it. So let's go back to that. So dollars, money, currency. It only
Right.
represents to the value of what the representation is, and that's literally it. When you say, "Oh, I've got $100," okay, to some person, $100 will put gas in their car and get them to work and get food on the table for their children and give them a little bit extra in their life. For another person, $100 is, you might as well just throw it on the ground, because if you're in that much money or if you're in that much debt, that doesn't even have any reference. So take the money out, for example. The money doesn't really represent success.
Mhm.
What does represent success in my book, again, this is how I feel success is driven, is success is driven or ran or understood by your inner success, your inner success. When you
Yes.
feel confident, when you feel emotionally controlled,
Mhm.
then money just comes to you because you can handle
Absolutely.
it. You can handle it.
You've got it. Absolutely, Tyler. Yeah, so you're talking about your intrinsic value.
Yeah.
So, and this is where people have gotten, say, all wrong. What people go is like, well, if I make money, then my value increases, and that's not the way to go about it. So what they do is like, and this is what today's society is like your level of input into society, like you make 20,000 or 20 million or 20 billion, whatever it might be, is like, hey, that's how much value or worth I have in society. But your real value goes down. Your intrinsic value goes down because now you've exchanged a limitless potential of who you are, a priceless, say, commodity into something that's useless, like fiat currency,
Right.
basically.
Right.
And that's where people go. They have billions of dollars. It's like, shit, I don't feel that hot. I don't feel like I should. I don't feel as, as hot as the billions I have in the bank. Why is that? Because they've lost their self. What I'm talking about is like, no, your intrinsic value goes up. And because of that, your environment becomes a reflection of you because your environment is always a reflection of you. Okay. So if you're feeling empty inside, no matter how much money you have or how much success you have on the outside, you're not going to feel it because again, it's a reflection of who you are on the inside. On the inside, this is where Tyler, back in the day, back in the like in the 40s and 50s, a couple 100,000 or a million or so, you're pretty well off.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
people are making multimillionaires and they're okay. The next step is, well, shit, I got to be a billionaire. Why isn't it enough? Right? Because the
Inflation's
value,
a
the intrinsic.
bitch.
You're right. Real inflation, absolutely. Real inflation is all about you're losing your intrinsic value. You're
Yeah.
losing your identity
Yeah, you are.
compared to something that's fiat. So what I'm talking about is again re-identifying or reformulating that where your inner essence creates high value. As your inner essence creates higher value for you, the money that you make, the success that you have becomes a reflection of who you are. Nowadays, it's a facade of who you are, right? You're still weak on the inside. You still got the addiction patterns. You're still getting abused or whatever it is internally, right? But you've got a lot of money. And I can give you example, like, damn, not to cut down those people, but people in Silicon Valley, they were nerds back in the day.
Right.
No offense,
Right.
really highly intelligent. They were nerds back in the day. They got bullied around and they're going, fuck, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be successful and I'll show those people.
Yeah, and they did.
Now they're, what? Go ahead.
And they did. They made a lot
And they
of
did.
money, and they showed that the nerds rule the world. The new nerds rule the world. But what's happened
Absolutely.
is they took all that anger and frustration and
Hmm.
bullying to heart, and that's what I tell a lot of people about is, you know, when you
But
get a, go ahead.
can I finish my story? But now those people are coming to me, Tyler, and they're going, fuck, my family bullies me. The money that I make bullies me. My
Right,
business
right,
bullies
right,
me.
right, right,
Does that make
right.
sense? So
Yeah,
they didn't get rid of their problem. They just turned it into another version of itself.
yeah,
What I'm saying is like you get rid of your intrinsic value. And this is where addictions happen to people who become successful or even unfortunately suicide when people have come into fame and fortune, right? It's like, why do they commit suicide if everything's supposed to be all bliss? Because they get to see that it's like, shit, this didn't provide the completeness that I wanted and needed. So it's like,
right.
what else am I going to do?
Right. And we've built a society around instant gratification.
Absolutely.
Instant gratification is such a double-edged sword because
Mhm.
the dopamine value is through the roof, but unfortunately, our bodies are addicted to dopamine. And I learned this at a very young age. I was very, very honored and privileged to learn this.
Mhm.
I used to be addicted to substances, and now I'm completely clean of any substance,
Awesome.
and to the point where I'm not even eating meat I'm
Mhm.
not. I only eat fish and vegetables and cheese, and that's about it. I mean, I don't eat any meat based products, and I'll tell you, like it's amazing once you get rid of all of that stuff in
Right.
your body starts to come to its own glorified state. And what really upsets me is more so than marijuana is alcohol. I think alcohol has destroyed families, it's destroyed companies, it's destroyed people. And it's really
Right.
sad. But the thing is that when you talk about any substance, and I mean any
Mhm.
substance,
Mhm.
that you can't
Including money.
exactly that you can't come to your own
Right.
realization that it is controlling you, then it
Absolutely.
becomes a serious problem because you're a slave to it. You're an
Right.
absolute slave to it. But
Absolutely.
money's a little bit different. I see money as a transactional aspect. Like I have to transact X to get Y.
True. But money becomes people become a slave to their success or become a slave to their money. I see a lot of women like that because for them to become successful, and you name me any successful woman, and literally they're men. They're just running masculine patterns. And I see a lot of people,
They are. They are.
because it's like a man's world. It's not really a man's world out there, but they have adopted a man's identity to create success. And then these people come up to me like this woman. She writes billion-dollar sales, and she's
Wow.
gorgeous. I mean, just Tyler, you'd love her, knockout gorgeous. And she goes, "Hey, Moss, you know what? That success, I would trade it in any day because I don't feel like a woman anymore. I don't feel like making love." And again, she's a gorgeous woman, and it's like, wow, you think she'd have the most fantastic time. She doesn't feel like a woman. She's a guy. She literally feels like a guy on the inside, and she's turning more masculine, physically turning more masculine. So when you lose your identity, you become literally like a slave,
Yeah.
right, to that job. Like golden handcuffs, as people would call it.
Sure.
So I've helped her turn it around, where she's becoming that stronger female identity using female, say, patterns of success, not man's patterns of success, not testosterone driven. And she's coming back into her own sense of self, a really
Great.
strong, say, sexy, confident, sensual woman
Great.
uh, in the bedroom. And then also like in the boardroom as well, that confidence,
Sure.
that still writes billion-dollar deals. So
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah,
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's the one thing that I will say is, and I've talked to a lot of people, and
Mhm.
I immediately can tell if someone has a substance abuse problem
Substance. Yep.
because they're first and foremost the one of the easiest and greatest tales is insecurity. Like
Yep.
when I so when I was single, I would go to the bars just like every other single dude, and I would see it was like watching at the water hole what was going on if I was in an animal environment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And these guys are walking around all puffed out and chest out and machismo and being ego driven,
Hmm.
and the women are 100% turned off. I
Yep.
mean, they are completely and utterly turned off, and they're getting more frustrated and more frustrated, and so they start picking fights with their own, another dude that
Their
they
own
don't,
sense.
they're like, hey, what you looking at? What you looking at? Seriously,
Yeah.
this is what's going on. Is these
Absolutely.
insecurities are destroying people, and then you have other people that are confident in themselves
Hmm.
and they get everything. And so
Right.
confidence builds and ego kills.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, it kind of reminds me of back in the day. I was hearing some stories, in the 60s and 70s, if you were in New York, a pickup line, by the way, in bars was men would come up to the women and go, "Hey, I make X amount of money." That's their opening line because that's all that the women were interested in now. Imagine feeling like a piece of meat, right, guys?
Right?
It's totally flipped around. It's like, hey, I make this amount of money, I'm good enough for you to date. It's like, what the fuck? So that's how bad society was, even back in the day.
Right.
So we're starting to feel more and more like, shit, that's not me. Men feel like they're like about money, right? Or they have to provide like that. Women feel like they're, again, a piece of meat in a different way. So that ideation of like who you really are we're moving away into that new identity of like, wait, I have value, intrinsic value. And then once that flips around again, your inner self, your inner expansion comes in. And this is where money actually feels good to you. I'm not talking about you go away and you're like in the 70s, people go, I'm just going to get rid of the physical possessions. I'm going to go ride a bus somewhere and sit in the desert and sing kumbaya and all that stuff. It's not about that, guys. It literally is your intrinsic value, increases, and then your environment or the level of wealth increases for you as well. So it's a very different way of, say, accumulating wealth, but wealth that is really substantial for you. And this is where the inner peace comes in, the inner love or joy that you have come in. You don't have to, say, sacrifice your health, your relationships, your love, or anything like that for the business. You can expand and grow. And again, I'm 60 years old. I get younger and younger over time. I don't know if my wife showed you the before picture.
No.
Uh, oh, you should see. I looked a lot older 10 years ago because I was running most people's success patterns. I was successful, but again, destroying myself. You can have it all. Literally, it's about having it all.
Yeah, yeah, and I also think balance is a crucial aspect to having it all. Like you, the one thing I do say to everyone, and I mean, this is a hill that I die on.
Mhm.
There's not anything more important than your health.
Absolutely.
That's it. You don't have your health, you have absolutely nothing in this world. You have
Right.
nothing in this world.
Yep. Yeah, and Tyler, you bring up some great points. Again, addictions, health, all those patterns. Again, those are people going, I have to sacrifice all that, or I have to get addicted to compensate my lack of self that I've lost becoming successful. Yeah, I've never, I've helped people, as they age, interviewed people, older people, and they never go, Tyler, Moss, I wish I would have made another few $100 million, and then I would have been really, really happy. I've never heard anybody in their deathbed say that. It's like, shit, I wish I would have spent more time. Now you can have both. I'm not saying one or the other. That's the problem. You don't have to sacrifice one or the other. You can
Right.
literally have
Right.
both. You
Right.
again expand properly.
So I've also had this really strong theory,
Mhm.
and I want to know what you think about this theory.
Yeah.
So my theory is that the cancel culture or woke culture, it's engineered to produce addictive personality syndrome. Let me
I I
explain.
totally agree. Go
So
ahead.
my explanation to that is if I'm going to be brainwashed into thinking that someone says one thing to me that I think that the TV told me that is not right or racist or quote unquote not polite, I'm going to be personally offended by that. And what happens in my brain is going to have a synapses fit, and then my emotions are going to drop and my dopamine's going to drop and my adrenaline's going to go up. And so what I need to do to counteract that is I need to smoke my vape or I need to smoke my weed or I need to drink my alcohol because I have an imbalance in my chemical makeup of my brain cells.
Right. Or you have to attack other people,
Or you have to attack
because
other
that's what
people.
the cancel culture is about, right? If it's not your belief system,
Right.
you have to attack somebody, and yeah, it's literally like whoever you want to call it, the government or whoever, is literally taming people or grooming people
Correct.
to like, and it's giving out rewards. It's like they're treating. the masses like little kids. Like, if you believe in this, you get rewarded, and that's where you're talking about, your dopamine goes up. It's like,
Right.
I'm really part of somebody. I'm fighting for a cause, because those people that are against us are, they're vilifying us, right? And then you get that dopamine hit. It's like, damn, I'm part of a group that's like there, that's doing something to save the earth. And is it really? It's not. But that's what they've been brainwashed to do, and
Right.
that's what they're going to do.
And then when
So,
you upset them, then all they do is they go to their substance abuse of choice and use it.
absolutely. Yeah. So, did it really work out for you, for them?
Well, it worked out for Big Pharma too, you know. It worked.
Yeah, it worked out for them. They're sky high profits this time,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
unfortunately really sad.
Yeah, it
But
is. It is. Because you know what? I think that we would have a lot less mental illness if anyone and everyone that felt like they had the mental illness walked away from all substances.
right. And the reason why people, so what I do, Tyler, again, it's a whole different, say, way of looking at life. And that's, so people go, well, you can walk away from, substances, or, abuse or whatever. But then, just like a relationship, right? We tend to attract the same type of person, in a different, say, they might look different, but again, we see the same bottom line results in relationship after relationship after relationship. Why is that? So what I do, or what my company does, especially with my abilities, is like, wait a second, this is the algorithm that you're pattern. This is the algorithm that you're running. Say abusive relationships, right?
Sure.
Whether it's addiction, or getting into wrong, say, relationships, or getting into wrong business situations.
Sure. Sure.
Let's remove that underlying algorithm for you. So when you remove at your core level, and I would say, and there's a lot of, say, scientific evidence on my abilities, on how I help people, which is really exciting, is that, you start to change somebody's DNA. So your algorithm, or your pattern of how you see yourself, or how you identify yourself, changes radically.
Right.
And when you start to change at it, again, at a deeper level, what'll happen for you is, like, you'll go, well, shit, I don't have to have these addictive habits anymore. So you're
Bingo.
not forcing yourself to do it.
You know, in
You
an
just,
interesting way, I actually did that self medicate. Like I self medicated and then I self taught myself to get off my medication.
yeah. Yeah. So it's not willpower. You literally, you literally changed at a, I would call it your genetic makeup. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't need to run that pattern anymore.
Right.
That's why you're so drawn to what I do, is because you've done it on your own. I just do it a hell of a lot faster for you, and I know exactly. Like for you,
You do.
that
You
session that we
absolutely do.
had,
Oh yeah, it was
you
amazing.
know, within a second, I pinpointed exactly the pattern that you're running, the algorithm that you're running, and then helped you remove it.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize, or don't understand what's actually wrong with them, or what's going on with their life. They think it's a surface layer stuff, their psychology, or their belief system, or if I make more money. It's not about that, guys. You have to
The
go deeper,
the
much, much
greatest
deeper.
the
That's what I
greatest
do.
computer in the whole entire world sits between the ears.
Yep.
And we only use, I mean, even the scientists or the most intelligent people of this world use about 5% of our brain power.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Most of us are on autopilot. Literally, our
Autopilot.
genetic makeup, our hereditary. It's not just your eye color, your hair color, your skin color, and all that you've inherited from your parents. It's like you've pretty much inherited 95% of how you see your life. Literally, from right down to, who you're going to date, the type, not who, but the type of person you're going to date, how you see success, how you see joy, how you see intimacy. All those things are literally programs that you're running, again, from hereditary patterns or society. You add a little spice of your life in it, and then you pass that on to your kids. And again, that's called hereditary patterns, or evolutionary
And
patterns.
and in that terminology, the best way to explain a mental deficiency would be a essentially a virus in
Yeah,
the code.
absolutely.
A virus in the code, a malware in your code that's disrupting your pattern of operation. Like your
Right.
CPU is getting corrupted.
Well, think it, let me paint you a bleak story. And this is how most people run, Tyler, is that from the beginning of your family tree, your genetic makeup, nobody ever cleaned out the viruses or really cleaned out. Say that you lived in a house. Nobody took out that garbage their
Mm,
whole life.
mm,
Lifetime, generation after generation after generation, nobody cleaned out their garbage. Not even their dirty diapers. They just packed it away in the house somewhere. They didn't have the trash man take it away. So now, how many hundreds of generations later, you're born and you're packing all the garbage that they didn't take, they
right,
didn't get rid of.
right.
So, generation after generation, we're supposed to get rid of our shit and then pass it on like animals do. Nature, that's what nature does. It always evolves to the highest level of itself.
Have you?
Humans don't. We
Yeah,
hold
I
on
agree.
to like heart issues. We hold on to all the diseases. You know, like the lion species. If they had heart issues, for example, one or two generations, that would be cut out. The genetic makeup coding would learn. It's like, okay, this is how we resolve heart issues. And then anything after that, there's no more heart issues. There's no more any of it. But how many times, us, 10, 20 generations deep, we're still having the same bullshit that, our great fucking great grandparents had,
How do
you
you?
know?
Okay, so here's a personal question. Here's a
Mhm.
personal. I need to know how to do this, and if I can, I'll come back on. I'll have you back on, and I'll explain that it worked. My parents are hoarders, and
Yeah.
obviously I know why. I mean, it
Maybe
doesn't
that's
take.
why we're talking about it. you're,
It doesn't
you're a
take.
hoarder.
I am not a
Yeah.
hoarder. No, I do
Okay.
not hoard.
Are you the opposite?
Opposite. Yep. Yep.
Okay. So it's the same pattern.
Yeah, but I like.
It's the same bottom line pattern.
True, but I like cleanliness versus dirty, I guess is the best way to say it. But the point is that how do you, and this is for our listeners, how do you help someone that is hoarding release? What could, I mean, without calling you up and saying, "Hey, I want you to fly down to Arizona and help me out." How
Oh,
how how can someone that can't get a hold of you figure
mhm.
out how they can release the hoarding?
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I don't need to be in person to help you. A lot of my sessions are in Zoom and, all the way across, across the pond, as they would say.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. So I would do spatial referencing. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but like how I taught you,
Sure.
again, observing, because it's all about time and space. It literally is about being present. So spatial referencing is the mechanics, because everybody tells you to be mindful or be present, but they never tell you how to do it.
Sure.
This goes beyond being mindful in the brain. This is about again understanding how you render or you create yourself in space and time.
Yeah.
So for people like hoarding, and I just want to get back to you, Tyler. It's like, okay, my parents are hoarders. You do the opposite. And can I explain this for you?
Yeah.
And I'll just work on you a bit, and whoever else is listening to this as well, who are run similar patterns. And then again, back on your show, you tell me how it works out for you, and again, people listening to this show. So I'll just do a group work on people. So take a deep breath in. So for example, you're hoarders, and what your pattern is like, I don't like whatever my parents say, parents' patterns. I'm going to do the opposite. But again, when you're referencing your parents all the time and doing the opposite, the center value is again, you're referencing something. So that pattern always has to exist inside you. So
Mm,
you're always pushing against that pattern.
mm.
That makes sense? So the bottom line is the same for you. Get it? So a lot of people go, my parents were really, really religious. It didn't work out for them. Or my parents were, atheists. It didn't work out for them. I'm going to be really, really super religious or atheist, whichever way. It doesn't
Sure,
matter.
sure, sure.
Whenever you're the opposite, you're referencing something, you're going to get the same bottom line result.
Yep.
So your parents were hoarders back in the day because they were afraid, just analyzing them, they were afraid of just losing everything. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, when is the other shoe going to drop? That, especially your dad, just super scared. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or when are we going to get separated? That's your mom's pattern. So that's always running. So they would always have to hold on to something or hold on to you even, for example, because it's like, shit, you're going to go away. So they created a lot of insecurities about you so you don't stray far from the tree, so to speak. So
Right.
you're always in their lives.
Right.
Okay. And just tell me if I'm getting too personal publicly. So what you do is like, well, I'm going to do the opposite. But then what's happening is that you're holding on to your identity. You're always holding on to who's Tyler. Is this Tyler? No. Is this Tyler? No. So again, they're holding on to stuff to make them feel secure. You're still trying to hold on to Tyler, and Tyler is like, well, where's Tyler? How do I define Tyler? So you're still holding on to something. Does
Sure.
that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so take a deep breath in. Just notice your sternum bone, the bone that connects your chest together. Let's just get rid of this for you, Tyler. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. And then for people listening in, you'll feel the frequent. I know it sounds crazy, but Albert Einstein even said, "Future of medicine or the future of technology is going to be frequencies." So, take a deep breath in. Just notice your chest. Let's just get rid of this for you, and then all the burdens of your mom that's in your chest as well. Holy shit! Let's get rid of all that for you, buddy. And again, people listening in, we don't have much time. I have to actually jump on another call. But what we'll do, Tyler, is we'll expand it a little bit for your audience. So for your audience listening in, take a breath in, guys, and notice whatever is holding you back. So for you, Tyler, we'll get rid of this hoarding part. For your listeners, notice whatever is holding you back, and then notice where in your body you would feel that tension or that burden for you. Okay. Yeah. So for you, Tyler, just kick back and relax, buddy. Sit back on your chair, relax. Get in tune. There you go. So again, hoarding or not hoarding, basically the opposite. For you, Tyler, is in your chest. For the audience, listen or notice where it is in your body. Okay. And we're not going to resolve it. We're just going to input another frequency. It's not about fixing things. It's about changing the channel. If you're not liking what you're dancing to, you know, don't force yourself to dance to that theme. Let's just change the channel.
Right.
So again, take a deep breath in. Notice for you, Tyler, again, the chest. For anybody else, notice where in your body, your physical form, you feel that pain or burden or heaviness for you. No matter what problem that you have. Is it inside your body? Is it just outside your body? What if I could remove that for you? I know it sounds crazy. I know I'm putting my reputation out there, but for most of you, what if I could just change that channel? How's that sound? Might be too good to be true, or that can't happen. But what if? What if I could do that for you? What if I could just literally change your frequency? We
Right.
do it all the time with, we don't like an app, we change it. We don't like our TV channel, we change it. Why not the frequencies that we're resonating out? So again, a breath in. There you go. And I know it sounds crazy, and I know I'm putting myself out there, but give yourselves a couple days and you'll start to see literally a lightening of the load. Or a lot of you would probably experience like, shit, that thing just disappeared. Or you find a solution that shows up for you. For you, Tyler, you'll go, you know what? I don't have to keep searching. I don't have to hold on to this identity that I've called Tyler anymore. And you'll be more relaxed around people. You'll be more like within the moment. And it's like, shit, I really love this new feel of Tyler. And again, you're not holding on to this identity so strongly. You're just more fluid with people,
Yeah.
and you'll see people like reacting to you very differently, especially your girlfriend. So you'll
Got
go,
it.
whoa, get it? I know it sounds strange, guys. I know but just work with me. I work with hundreds of thousands of people, all over the world with massive changes in a very short period of time. So,
And that's the one thing that people need to also understand is there's not a quick fix to anything. It takes time. It takes effort and energy to build what you want to be and who you want to be. Like you
right.
said, and you hit the nail on the head. I think every business owner has to have a identity. They have to control that identity, especially if their identity's on the company that they work with, that they built, right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
So it's not like it's an easy thing to do, but once, and I agree with you, Moss, once you get rid of the who am I, 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 and you realize I am me, I am who I am, this is who I
Yeah.
am,
Yeah.
sky's the limit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see in a very short time. And again, we didn't spend that much time, but you'll see
Right.
a real cool identity, your real identity, Tyler, coming in a very short time. So
Yeah.
I can remove the patterns for you. And like Tyler said, you would have to accept, say, that new you coming in. So
Yeah.
that's your job.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the last moments here, why don't you go ahead and plug yourself? Tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's massajady.com, massajady.com. You can go there, you can check it out. What I do, again, whether it's health issues, relationship issues, business issues, I do a lot of work with business people, again, getting them to the next new level of understanding or even R&D. By the way, and it might go, I'm the jack of all trades. I'm really not. I build a better human. I build a better you, and then whatever that you do in life, blossoms. I've got a free talk on YouTube where I actually analyze people. I give you the deep science on why stuff happens to people, and then the solutions for that. That's a Moss on Sunday. That's on YouTube. Again, free for you. It's 10:30 Central every Sunday, and then the Moss Experience on the Best U TV. Take a look at that as well, and it explains how, say, consciousness works, how realities work, how time and space works, giving you the deeper science, and then also podcast. So again, go to massajati.com. There's a ton of free stuff, and then there's also sessions you can do with me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Really good stuff.
And for everyone that's skeptical, I have to say that I was too. And you have to you have to see it to believe it. So if you really want to change your life and change who you are and change how you can become the best you and the best of you, I strongly suggest following this man because he is so good. I mean, really, just I can't give you enough praise for what you have created and what you've done, and it's just
Thank you so much.
unbelievable. It really is. It's just
Thanks, buddy.
unbelievable.
Man, you're making me blush, man. Stop it. Shucks.
Well, you made me feel great, and that's I think that's what everyone's trying to find is their self. And let's be completely honest. No one in this world wants to feel depressed.
Oh, absolutely.
No
Yeah.
one.
I help, especially with kids, ADD, ADHD, those things. I could tell you story after story. People have gone, they take their kids to psychologists, even adults as
Oh
well.
yeah, just give them pills. Just give them pills. Just give them
Just give
pills.
them pills. Yeah, it's crazy. And, like one or two sessions, like a 10-minute session with me is literally worth about 2, 3 decades of therapy.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
that's not coming from me. That's coming from the people who've had 2, 3 decades and they have a 10-minute session. It's like, holy shit.
Well,
I wish
because
I would have known.
psychiatrists and psychologists are only made to create a higher creation of an out of control and a form of depression. Because then they said, "Well, come back and see me. Come back and see me," and that's how they
Oh,
get paid. That's
that's
how
how
they
they
get
get paid.
paid.
Absolutely.
So it's just it's sickening to me that we live in a society where human suffrage can be monetized.
Well, it's a business. Cancer is a business. what we're going through now is a business. It's all so those things have to end
Yes.
literally, and like a real solution has to come into play.
Yeah.
And that real solution is again identifying who we are at a deeper level,
Yeah.
not compared to money or
We're
anything.
we're all connected to source, but sometimes it gets severed, and to rebuild it is a problem. And sometimes you can't rebuild people. Sometimes they're too far gone, and
Yeah,
you gotta let them go. You know.
you gotta let them go. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you can't. They're too far gone physically. They're too far gone to really reconnect or recreate their bodies or recreate their life. Yeah.
Right.
So those kind of people, again, like you said, Tyler, you got to let them go, or they literally cross over faster once they wake up.
Yeah.
Either way, they wake up though. So
Yeah.
good stuff, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Moss. More. Always a great time to talk. I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the future, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let's connect again.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Take
Bye.
care.